Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 11th, 2023 City Council meeting. You can all stand and recite the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those who lost their lives on 9/11 and since. Thank you. Mr. Kazuki, roll call.
Councilmember Wood. Here. Councilmember Conrad Woodley.
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Mayor Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Donovan.
Here.
Councilmember Stroga.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dooley.
Here. Item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting held on August 14th, 2023. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, they'll be accepted as presented. Before we head to item 4, we have a special guest with us today, our County Commissioner, Tim Killeen. Tim, sorry to see you sitting at the end there. Please come up if you want to give us a few minutes and tell us what's going on in the county.
Special, how about that? Thank you,
That's
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and it will be a couple of minutes if there's any questions. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, residents, good evening. We're in the middle right now of the county budget. It'll be up for a vote in a couple of weeks here. I think it can be best described as kind of a status quo budget. That's what we've been doing for 3 or 4 years now. Our bond ratings are now up to A. Ooh, with a positive outlook. So that's, of course, is very helpful to the county. I'm sure you're familiar with the road work the county's doing on Lakeshore and then up on Ross at the Ross Greenway between Mac and the freeway. Kind of associated, the old Poupart Elementary. It is slated for 71 what they call attainable for-sale housing units in there. Mishta has made a big commitment to that, and right now they're in discussions with Wayne County for about $1 million of our home dollars to complete that project. But that should be very good for the city of Parker Woods to have 71 new housing. Anybody say property taxes? And also right now, my office myself is working on hazardous waste coming into Wayne County. Right back in February, everybody got excited, the train wreck down in Ohio, and they're shipping hazardous waste up here. Well, everybody gets excited, but the answer is, of course they do. That's the federal rules. And under the federal rules, they don't have to tell you. There was a time in this country when there were no hazardous waste, landfills, or injection wells. And people were just dumping stuff wherever they wanted to. I think it was the wisdom of the feds to step in and say, no, we're going to have regulated landfills that are going to meet certain specifications. And it's a huge, not in my backyard issue. And we're not going to let the locals have anything to say about it because this is a federal issue. I mean, before there was these landfills, stuff was just being dumped wherever, in the stream out back, in a big hole in the back of your property, wherever. So I think it was a step forward, but now we're taking myself and we have a little group together, and I hired a 3rd-year law student to take a look at is there anything the county can do? Is there better public information that can be done? Is there anything we can do when these facilities are sited or when they're up for renewal? Is there anything there? And we're also looking at state law to see if there's some things we could put in state law. Everything that gets delivered to these hazardous waste landfills is recorded, but try to find it on the DEQ website. It's just kind of very difficult. It's a little impenetrable. So can we make this a little more public, have more of a public database so that people can see what's going on? Wayne County is landfill territory for the state. We have far and away more landfills here. We have more landfills in the county than municipal landfills almost in the entire state. For household waste and that sort of thing. So is there anything we can do when they're up for re-permitting? And are there things we can do in the state law? And we have to look carefully at federal rules on this too. So we think we're working on it. We have a couple of recommendations to the state to say, hey, change your laws on this. And we're looking for friendly legislators right now. But so that's, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's what I wanted to report on here this evening. Thanks for having me. I'll take a question or two.
Any questions?
Try to dodge any.
Start on the right. Rather than
Try to dodge any.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, yeah. You can dodge questions.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. It's part of the job.
Yeah, seawall issues, you know,
Right.
there's been a good deal of contention between our staff and the county staff in terms of, who owns the seawall and where's the money gonna come from and when are we gonna get the money to fix the seawall. We have ourselves and also Shores invested significant money to get the survey done and done other things. The county is being helpful in terms of, my understanding, is providing some backfill material for the work that's being done for the revetments, the ramp, that things concrete. Still, it's a Band-Aid approach. Is there any new money in the new budget that you just discussed?
No, not
Any
for
new
the
money?
seawall. No,
Where are we gonna, Tim, what are we gonna,
no.
what are we gonna do about this?
I've been working on this for quite some time. We've had meetings out here. I got a stack of paper that high in my office of meetings, even going back to when we got the study done out there. And then we had to negotiate the cost sharing arrangement for that too. Personally, I think somebody needs to go to court and identify the true ownership of that, which I don't think is really a mystery. This is the county seawall. Now, I understand it was $750,000 from the state to help some of these issues, but from the county, state
Initially, and then an additional 1.2 this year.
Yeah, from the state. Yeah. And I hear about these when I talk to Shane. I don't get that. I'm not in the direct pipeline.
There is a $4 million request out there from the third round of ARPA funds for repairs that we made to the county, so keep an eye out for that. The county asked us to ask for it, and we said, no, you should just appropriate it. We shouldn't have to ask for it, because it's
Right.
your seawall. So just appropriate it out of that, so we'd appreciate your assistance in appropriating that, or granting our request for it
Yeah.
on behalf of the county, which we did, reserving all rights that it's the county's wall, and we're just helping with the repairs.
Yeah.
So that additional $4 million from the third round of ARPA funding would be
Right.
greatly appreciated. To get
Yeah, I am aware of that, and it's good that people submitted that. And I am talking to some folks about that, but of course, with that kind of money, let's just say there's another 80, 90 million or whatever to allocate out of that. Of course, from the 43 communities around Wayne County, we've got way more requests than that. So how that's going to shake out, it's a bureaucratic process. It's an executive branch process. So I have made people aware that the farms, and I think the Shores also filed, that this is money I totally support. Where that's going to come out, I can't tell you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner McLean, for coming here. I look at good news for Harper Woods with the 71 new housing units possible. On Cole
There's
Park.
still some funding to go on that, but we're hopeful.
Assuming that this does work out, will these new residents be eligible for Grosse Pointe School?
That I don't know. That I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, people that are
If
around.
Copart is-
Copart,
Yeah, I don't know.
From Harper Woods, so.
Right, because Cupart was the old Cupart Elementary and the footprint.
It was under the jurisdiction of Grosse Pointe Public Schools.
Yeah, so I don't know for sure, so I'm not gonna give you an answer tonight. I'll let either Shane or the mayor know when I have an answer on that. Whether that's gonna be within the catchment area of the Grosse Pointe Public School System.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a question. It's actually more of a comment. Number one, thank you to the county for the improvements on the shore and Ross. The one
You
request.
might even see some curbs on.
I know, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And curbs on Ross, come on.
On the islands.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. The request would be, going forward, if there can be greater communication between the county and the city administration, it would be helpful. I know, at least my perception was that all of a sudden the red barrels went up and everyone was like, what's going on? And I just think it would be helpful both for public safety and for residents to be aware, like, this is coming, we're gonna do this. And it's fine, it doesn't need to be months ahead, but even just a couple of weeks. Maybe, and Shane can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the perception, was that we literally did not know, and all of a sudden barrels just started showing up.
If there was a communication issue, we did not hear, we did not know.
So if there can be better communication between those, there.
Yeah, because, I mean, I saw it on the list when it came out from the federal aid committee. And I don't know if people know or residents know, the 43 counties that, or 43 cities that Wayne County handles county roads in. There's a federal aid committee. Detroit gets a separate allocation from the feds, so they have their own committee. And that's made up of public service departments from all of the 43 cities. And it's a bureaucratic process again. We shouldn't have elected officials sticking their nose into that. That's not what it's for. To look at all the data and say, okay, and the money we have, these are the roads we're gonna do. And I know I posted it as soon as I saw it on my own. I didn't know that the city had not been, but I'll double check that and make sure. Because usually that's what happens, right? They'll get a hold of people 6 months in advance and say, hey, we're gonna have a little meeting so that people know when the project's gonna start, what's gonna be closed when, particularly if there's business owners, which we don't have in either case out here. So.
Well, I mean, number one, I
You
guess.
didn't receive notification, Mr. Reeser?
We did not, no.
Okay. All right, I'll.
But I have had subsequent conversations with folks in the county, Duke Hodges and others who, apologize and.
Yeah,
and sure.
but it's well taken, Councilman.
We are very appreciative of the work, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no,
Just
no, I
more
got
advanced
it.
notice than-
I'm tired of road projects myself.
You know what?
Everybody for 10 years, do my road, right? I'm like, get off my phone, and then the year comes up, and people are like, oh, you closed my business down, I can't get to my house, too much dust.
Every time I have to think about going around the road, I'm like, thank God it's getting done. So-
Yeah, absolutely.
I have questions for Commissioner Clement. Make sure they do the islands on, the curbs on the islands.
Wouldn't that be
Ross, that would be something. Vermeer looked so much better when they took those curbs out.
And as of course, I've been an East Sider my whole life, and that's the road I drive going home. And I've been looking at that for a long time, going, they just keep resurfacing the road, and the road keeps coming up. And the curbs are like, you only get the little rounded shoulder of the curb anymore out there, so that's what I'm.
We'd love some support to get the new curbs.
Yeah,
All right, thank you for coming, appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time on the agenda.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the city council and to convene as the board of zoning appeals. Okay. Support anyone?
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, Board of Zoning Appeals. A, consideration of a variance request for 15 Rose Terrace. Will the applicant please come to the podium? Give us your name and address and give us your presentation.
Charles Gable, 15 Rose Terrace. I assume you received the formal resolution from Rose Terrace Homeowners Association. This was requested last week, so just as a recap, the practical difficulty of getting in and out of the existing garage. The front porch extends beyond the entrance to the garage door, and we've had a few incidents, like rims have been scuffed on the front porch, my wife scuffed the garage entrance, so it's just very difficult to maneuver. What I wanted to mention, I don't know if anybody probably hasn't seen this, but this is the original plat of Rose Terrace, and it shows the proposed road. This is not the way the road lays out. In that package that McKenna provided, their analysis shows the actual layout of the road. And in front of my, I have to pass this around, you probably don't have this front one, but the second one that McKenna provided shows the curves in the road. So in front of my house, there's an additional 20 feet beyond what is shown on this original plat. So I understand that, you know, if there's a technical variance because of this original plat, we don't really have an 11-foot setback from the garage, the new proposed garage. We will have over 30 feet to the curb. So, you know, just clarification on that. Should have sent this around.
I think we've heard
Okay. And then also the survey illustrates that as well. If it's in the package there, that survey shows the additional property in question. So Rose Terrace being a private road, which is what it indicates on this original plat, I guess it calls into question who owns this additional 20 feet, whether it's the property owner or the association. But regardless, the association is unanimously voted in favor of the addition. So I don't know that it's an issue at this point. A few other things. The city sent out 26 notices to the association. We haven't had any negative feedback that I'm aware of. I submitted last week signatures from my adjacent neighbors and every neighbor along the shore or my lot line. And going from the lake, probably a half a dozen houses up, everybody is signed off, anybody that would be affected by this. So there's no issues as far as that goes. You know, there was a question last week, I saw it or last month regarding a precedent being set with this. That's addressed in the resolution. This would not be precedent setting. Any issues going forward be addressed on individual basis. So I don't believe there's any precedent being set. We contracted with Blake and Company, and he's a well-known builder, obviously, in the farms, and we believe it'll be in harmony with the existing properties and so forth. So for these reasons, I'm requesting a favorable vote for the required variance, and I appreciate your time.
Any questions for Mr. Gable?
Mr. Gable, you know, I went out and took another look at it, and then I reread the McKenna report. I believe there is a practical difficulty, which you've articulated as far as going in and out of the garage, and I appreciate that. But then, I mean, trespassed on your property and walked it back and forth from my property in case someone's gonna question who's this intruder.
Chief Hutchins?
But I have to tell you, when I looked at, the drawings from, like, and I walked it out, I can see where McKenna had said that this is a substantive variance request. This is the word is substantial. And as I look at it, I understand that you have really good support from your neighbors and from your board. And so no one's in opposition to it yet. Future homeowners might have a whole different opinion of that. And that's something that this body has to take in consideration when we give variances. And that has been, I would contest that has been the biggest complaint about the Board of Zoning, is that they're not considering future homeowners and property tax owners with this. So while I believe there is justification for part of the variance, I don't think the size and the magnitude of it warrants a vote that would be favorable for me. Thank you, sir.
Can I mention something as far as, and I noticed the McKenna report as well. And the reason they're saying substantial, they're not taking into consideration that 20 feet, that additional 20 feet. They're solely looking at the 110 depth versus the 130 depth. They don't call into account the additional property that's in front of the house.
So that was your point on which diagram?
Right. Well, yeah, they didn't take into account the additional property. My neighbor next to me, towards Lake Shore, his garage is at least 15 to 18 feet in front of the neighbor, Tom Johnson. And didn't seem to bother Tom, as far as it is, these properties have a tendency to undulate with the street in many cases, but I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, sir. Good evening. Thank you for coming back. I also believe that you've articulated a practical difficulty. I intend on voting yes if a motion is made to allow this variance to be granted on the basis that I think it's up to your homeowners association, so to speak. Let future property owners beware. If that's the look that your homeowners association wants, and you've met the other criteria, I'm in favor for it. I wouldn't vote if it were a different type of street, so to speak, but I'm in favor of it, given that you've documented it, or provided us with a resolution. I believe you stated a practical difficulty, and if that's what the association wants their property to look at, or look like, so. Anybody else? Left.
Yes, sir. As far as I can understand here today, the only thing that changed substantively is the letter from the homeowners association. Is that right? You haven't done any other studies, you haven't done any investigations or anything else. Nothing else has come to light except that you have presented us tonight. The only difference is this letter from the homeowners association.
Well, and the additional road configuration, the difference of the original plot and what the actual road layout
The
is.
reason I ask is that last month the mayor mentioned an alternative that you could save yourself some money and not have the left turn immediately into your garage there, but you can come right off the street and go directly into where there's some landscaping right now onto that side of the garage. I don't see any discussion about you're looking into that alternative, if it was practical or not. And then I mentioned that right where that vehicle is parked right there, you could add a few more slabs of concrete so that it would make it easier for the people who are taking a left into the garage to negotiate that turn. And I don't see any discussion on that. So my sense is that, and I'll disagree with my fellow council members, I don't believe there is a practical difficulty here. I believe that it's a substantial variance request, and I believe that there are alternatives that could be utilized here, so I'm gonna vote no.
Well, as far as the additional, that doesn't change the fact that the front porch protrudes out into the causeway into the garage itself. In regards to changing the garage from the front or from the side to the front, I did have conversations with the neighbors, and they're not in favor of it. They like the look of, and Mark will vouch for that, they like the look of the facade being the way it is on the street side. And Mark looks at that every day. He's directly across the street. Would prefer that to stay the way it is.
Sure.
Can I ask a final question? Mr. Gavon, I have no problem with you trying to enlarge it where you have the side entrance and the front entrance. I just think it's a whole different type of addition that protrudes out. And I do think that there could be a compromise. So this is a large addition. And I'm just wondering, is there any consideration to that whatsoever?
Well, it's not large in regards to the size of the rest of the home. It's 13 feet out. And the neighbor on the opposite side of me that looks into the garage, she thinks the existing garage is kind of stubby for the size of the home, for the layout of the home. And she was quite excited about the addition, giving the home more balance and enhancing the look of the home. She'll be the one looking at it on a daily basis.
And again, I mean, even just reduce the size of it, she'd still be looking at a little bit of a reduced one with it. It would have the same set of value, I'm sure, to her. That's just an opinion. However, what I just am saying is that we would be granting a substantial variance. And I think that I understand the practical difficulty, but I think, and I can vote for the variance, understanding that practical difficulty, but not to this magnitude. And there could be some other resolutions to it.
Well, as far as the size, an additional stall, it requires, the only thing that could be possibly done would be maybe a smaller garage. The garage door is a pretty standard size, and we're only going 24 inches on either side of the garage door. If, you know what I mean, as far as a bay, you can only have you require a certain amount of space.
But the practical difficulty that you were addressing in our prior meeting was that it was difficult for you and your wife to navigate that because of the porch. So if the garage entrance is widened, you eliminate, rather than putting in a third bay, you eliminate that nuisance. And I could see that practical difficulty. But adding just a third well to that third bay, that car garage, it's tough to say, okay, we'll give you that variance. I think when we have our consultants that say to us, hey, this is substantial, that's tough.
I don't understand how I would widen that garage without tearing it down. Aesthetically, I would think an additional bay with a step back would be the most aesthetically pleasing. And again, this is my neighbor that's going to look at it on a daily basis.
Anybody else on the ZBA? Questions or comments? All right, anybody in the public have any questions or comments? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Just a reminder, 5 votes out of 7 to get this passed by the ZBA. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Are you gonna make a motion to deny it? I'm gonna make a motion to grant it if you don't mind.
Thank you. I'm gonna wait, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the request of Charles and Lisa Gable with in 15 Rose Terrace, approving their variances communicated to us in our board packet. Previously dated August 14, 2023. I believe that the variance is in harmony with and will serve the intent and purposes of the various ordinances, specifically section 1702 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. I believe that the variance requested is will not produce increased population density, nor would it require additional government resources beyond previously planned conditions. I also believe that the existing properties along Rose Terrace, including the existing structure, would maintain a similar and fairly consistent relationship with the front property line, and therefore that it is in harmony with other residents in the area. I believe that the variance would result in substantial justice being done, considering the public benefits intended to be secured by ordinances, and that the hardships or difficulties suffered if the variance is not granted would adhere to the detriment of those petitioning for it. I do not believe that the hardship or difficulty can be obviated by some other method other than a variance, and I do not believe that the variance will substantially interfere with or injure the rights of persons whose property is affected by the proposed variance. The practical difficulty that I see is based upon the applicant's suggestion that it may be unsafe for those who ingress and egress from the home while the car is being backed out, together with the difficulty of moving various automobiles from the garage portion of the residence to the driveway. That's my motion.
All right, do I have support? Support. All right, Mr. Kizicki, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Wood,
No.
Councilmember Conrad Goldstein,
No,
Councilmember Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Theros,
Yes.
Councilmember Diamond,
yes.
Councilmember Sorka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Come on. Okay. Item 4B, consideration of a variance request for 336 Kirby. The application is approached the podium. Give us your name and address. Now you can make your motion.
Thank you. Good evening, Dan Johnson, 336 Kirby Road. Quick state here. My residence was built in the late 1950s. As was normal at that time, my style home came with an unattached, one-story, very basic garage. Over the years, it became outdated, too small and narrow, difficult to accommodate anything larger than a U-boat. It basically was a storage shed that eventually deteriorated. It became an eyesore and an embarrassment. I purposely let the trees and arborvitaes grow over and around it to hide it from view. It became clear that not only was it disgusting, but it was dangerous. It was time to take it down. I waited until the contractor was available, which was difficult, as well as several subcontractors to replace it. I was aware that it did not require a permit to remove it, as it did not contain asbestos, asphalt shingles, or any lead-based paint, aluminum siding. There was no plumbing or insulation. The garage was sprayed with water during demolition to keep the dust on, not just for my family, but also the neighbors. I was lucky enough to hire an excellent contractor, Mr. Al Shaheen of Balance Construction, who's here tonight. While searching for architectural plans, I mistakenly, my fault, believed that the unattached garage was allowed the same 20-foot height as an attached garage. The plans submitted were the best I could find for a one-car garage, and I'm going to pay for it, if approved. I apologize for my mistaken thinking on the roof height, which is why I humbly appear before you tonight. The garage is designed to accommodate today's larger SUVs. To accomplish this, it needed to be 1 foot wider, 1 foot deeper, and required new footings and floor. It also required a pitch to accommodate this extra footage. It would not be architecturally appropriate for the garage or the residence to require a 15-foot maximum height. Finished product would resemble a child's shoebox. Shallow pitch, slow runoff, possible shingle mold. There will be no plumbing, no insulation. There will also be no vent stack inside the diagram that was submitted to the plans on the roof, and so there is no need for one. It will not be insulated. I have no storage space in a standard one-car garage. I need to be able to store deck furniture, grandkids' backyard play toys, gardening supplies, flower pots, porch railings, boxes, and porch furniture, and various Christmas decorations, all light storage. Attempting to store these items in one's basement could be costly if there are more basement flooding issues. The finished garage submitted will definitely add to the overall appearance of the property, increasing property values, not just the applicants, but those of the surrounding neighbors and the neighborhood. Also, the power lines will be buried from the pole to the house. I have spoken with all affected neighbors and have approved of the project, and they all have signed off on it. I have that if you'd like. The notice of public hearing was also sent out to the required neighbors, and to my knowledge, there have been no complaints or concerns. There is a precedent, I believe, in 209 Cloverly. Thank you for your time and consideration on this request, and then for your questions or comments.
Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Slocum?
Yes, I had a couple questions. Number one, do you have a rough idea of how long ago the garage was constructed?
I believe it was done when the house was built or shortly thereafter.
So, 50s or
59, I believe, 58 or 59.
And then, just so what I heard, there was the practical, it sounded like there was a practical difficulty in terms of accommodating modern vehicles with a higher height and a wider base.
That's correct. So,
And just out of curiosity, in the old garage, did you have any upper storage at all, or was that
No.
not a feature? I think that's all I have.
I can add that the old garage, I believe, was built with it, but it might have been added afterwards. Originally on the back of my family room is now was a full-time, not a 3-season, a 4-season room. It was 8 by 15, knotty pine, and it had a door out to a patio. It was 6 steps down to the patio because the garage was that far below. So when we put the deck on the first time, we built it up so there's only 2 steps down. It had it level with a door wall that goes up to the backyard. I considered it one time making it 2 or 2.5 car attached, but there's no way I can get the level up to the door that's already there without making a ramp coming out of the garage. So I would have to have steps up in the garage and then out to the deck and across. It would also architecturally ruin my family room. My family room has a door, a window, and a skylight on that edge of the roof. And all that would be blocked if we brought it over. And as we all know, most people's 2.5 car garages use one. They have those full place and stuff. So we decided to go with the nicest one we could find with this. It also, as you saw in the architectural plans, has a walk-up. I'm pushing 6'2", maybe 6'1" now. As you get older, you shrink. And it will have walk-up stairs, not pull-down stairs. I've heard stories about people falling off them as you try to go there. Like it's uneasy. So to get up there, if it was any narrower, I hurt my back trying to do something. Ducking so low to get around it. So that also is part of the reason to do it.
Other question?
Well, yeah, you actually took the question out of my mouth. I was gonna ask you whether it was practical for you to attach. And it's clear that you've gone through that exercise and it's not a practical alternative, is it?
No, it isn't. And also, we want a deck back there. It would require me to put the deck further back into the yard and eliminate the green space I have back there now. A lot of that green space.
In order to accommodate, 2023 vehicles, F-150, or a Suburban or something like that, you need a fatter and deeper garage, which I think all of us can probably understand. I guess my question is, and it's similar to what we were asking the gentleman beforehand, it's a substantial variance, you're asking for a 33% increase in the height. Is there any way, given the new dimensions, the 1 extra foot on each side, any way to bring it down to make the pitch a little bit less? Can you take off 2 feet?
No, I don't even think they built the struts or whatever my building would add to that. Would have to probably be custom made. That the kits run that way. It's I believe it's a 812 pitch, as is the roof of my house. If you looked at that drawing there, and put a 15-foot shallow pitch on it, it doesn't match my neighbor's house, it doesn't match my house, the doghouse dormers on my roof, the pitch of my roof. It doesn't architecturally flow in any way, shape, or form. It would look like something I bought out of a Sears kit home and kit garage and built it myself and set it on the property. It just wouldn't.
All right,
Really
I mean, those are the two alternatives that I came up with attaching, so you wouldn't have to even go through this. Or if it's reasonable to reduce that and you just said, no, it's just those two aren't, you can't do it.
Okay, can I remind people to please turn off their cell phones? Stop doing that because people are really compliant, but we're two today, so thank you.
Okay, we have our.
Okay, any other questions? All right, anyone in the public have any questions? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Quick question, Mr. Baca. At this point, you've seen the property. What stage is it at right now?
They've been working on the concrete, so we can't issue the building permit until there's either a variance or the plans are changed, but the concrete does not require it. Okay.
All right, I will entertain a motion. Yeah.
So I move that the appeals application submitted on September 1st, 2023 by Dana Jensen for construction of a new 345 square foot garage on his property be granted, thereby offering the issuance of a building permit to construct a structure that is 20 feet tall versus 15 feet as required by the R1 residential district. The garage would therefore exceed the maximum height by 5 inches. To reach this decision, we have reviewed Mr. Matt Baca's memo dated September 5th, 2023, the applicant's appeals application received September 11th, 2022, the detailed review letter from McKenna dated September 5th, 2023, and the applicant's comments tonight. Potential factual findings indicate that the strict application of the zoning ordinance would result in a practical difficulty for the user of the property to the owner's desire to make the garage appearance more harmonious to the existing homes and accommodate modern vehicle sizes. The new garage would continue to be in compliance with both the side and rear yards zoning requirements, and we anticipate that any changes for the surrounding residences would be minimal. The variance is in harmony with and serves the intent and purpose of the ordinance because number one, the variance will not result in increased population density. 2, the variance will not adversely affect the government services or the district's character. 3, the siting, character, location, and intended use of the proposed building will be largely unchanged and will be in harmony with the surrounding residences of the district. The proposed variance meets the standards of Article 25. The variance will result in substantial justice being done because the hardship suffered if a variance is not granted will be significant and likely render the owner unable to accommodate modern vehicle sizes in the garage. The garage is more than 60 years old and needs replacement, and the hardship was not self-created. The proposed variance will not substantially interfere with or injure the rights of persons whose property is affected by the proposed variance. And I don't really think we need it. And the Board of Zoning Appeals hereby grants the foregoing variance without prejudice or precedence for any future appeals. Any future or similar.
It was 5 feet. not
5.
Yeah, 5 feet, not 5 inches.
Oh, did I say that? Okay, sorry. 5 feet. Apologize. Yeah, 5 feet. Yeah, not 5 inches.
Do I have support?
Support.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Conrad Wolf,
Yes.
Councilmember Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Barros,
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan,
Yes.
Councilmember Stroka.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You don't see it because it's dark, and there's a can up by the side of the house there where I'm taking donations. Don't please.
Make sure I bring my dog Yeah, for donation. Sorry, man. Wide open, Johnson, you left it wide open. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn as a voting Board of Zoning Appeals and to reconvene as a city council. So move. All, any support? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, consent agenda. Would anybody like any items from the consent agenda removed for individual consideration? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You have in front of you, public safety report. I will note one thing again, I think this is becoming I'm gonna read this out loud so we can get this on the newspaper. The vehicle was left unlocked. The vehicle was left unlocked. The vehicle was left unlocked. 3 vehicles were left unlocked and personal items were stolen. For the 20th time, folks, lock your car. It's our police department does a great job in investigating all these. We have luckily very often caught the perpetrators through the great work of not just our public safety department, but with the cooperation of neighboring communities, departments. But we could put our energies to other things if people remember to lock their cars. These are crimes of opportunity. And people will walk by your car if it is locked. So I'll just say it again, lock your cars and you don't need to leave your wallets and your laptops sitting on the front seat.
Or your loaded guns.
Or loaded guns.
Like,
Or your key fobs.
Key fobs in the car. We had somebody who they went on vacation and left their extra key fob in the glove box, so in case they lost the one that they had on them, they would have the extra key fob, so don't do that. All right, other business, Mr. Reside.
Just a few comments. One, we had a very successful Labor Day and December bash. Most people we had in the park for the fireworks display on that Saturday, over 2,400 people guests on that Saturday. So since prior to the pandemic, I think the biggest crowd we've had, over 5,000 guests over the 5-day weekend. So very successful in the season, normal season. Look forward as we gear up for the fall and winter events. Road update, since the last meeting, Ridge Road has been repaved from Moran Road to Fisher, so that stretch has been completed. And last week, Vendome was completed between Grosse Pointe Boulevard and Kirchhoff. So we were kind of anxious to get that street done. It's been a while because of the repairs and curbing and so forth that had to be done. Probably at the end of this week, we'll begin seeing the milling of Kirchhoff. Kirchhoff will be repaid now. The first stretch was done earlier this summer between Fisher and Lewiston. And now going from Lewiston to Ross Road, that milling will start by Thursday or Friday, Matt? But this week.
Thursday. That's the schedule.
So,
Weather.
so again, we're making good progress. We're having, I think, we're on our schedule and we'll have NICS alerts and so forth as we move forward with that construction. Dates for your calendar, the foundation's annual fundraiser is this month, September 21st at 6 p.m. If you haven't purchased a ticket, tickets are still available online and welcome residents to do that. And then no ticket needed, the Concourse d'Elegance car show will be held, again, sponsored by the Grosse Pointe Farms Foundation on Sunday, September 24th, from 12 to 3 p.m. So we invite everybody to attend. That's all I have.
Anybody else in council on other business?
Yeah. Could you tell me the date again? Is it the 21st for the foundation?
Yes.
And what time is it start? I'm sorry.
I believe that's 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just, I know that some of my fellow council members received an email about the situation going on at 192 Fisher from Sarah Sutherland today. I and Matt Baca and I have been in correspondence on this, and I've been watching the correspondence from the Sutherland for a while. Matt, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but can you give us a little bit of background of what's been going on in the Sutherland's property and, the response to the issues that are happening there?
That was part of the first block of Fisher. She's the corner house at Ridge and Fisher. So that's where the water main was replaced last year, and the road was resurfaced or rebuilt in concrete. As a part of that whole process, often sprinklers get damaged. That's just part of the process. We do try to get the contractor to take responsibility for it, but oftentimes they miss things, or in that particular case, they just weren't very timely with that whole project. So what we usually do is we say to them, okay, well, use your sprinkler company and then submit the bill, because the cost, either we're going to pay the road contractor to do it, or they can have their sprinkler company do it. So that's what we've done with most of the people on Fisher who weren't satisfied with the contractor. In this particular case, she said that her company refused to do it. I told her that if she wanted, I would recommend other companies, and I just haven't heard back from her. But I make that offer every time she talks to me, but she has not taken me up on it.
Yeah, I just would, generally I try to respond to every email or every message. It's a little bit too on top of communication sometimes. But oftentimes when the administration wants to respond to an issue, I let the administration respond. So in this case, I'm sorry that Ms. Sutherland felt that I was not being appropriately responsive to her, but hopefully she'll take up the administration on the offer to get her own sprinkler company to fix this particular issue. On a separate matter, I just wanted to thank the Boat Club and Social Club for the really positive season that they've had at the park this year. I had a chance, I frankly just kind of happened upon their final celebration here. It was really a great time, though the boat race didn't work out. I didn't have much wind that day, but it was really fun, and it's a good example of how community members coming together, in an organized fashion can really create something magical for our community. So I just wanted to personally thank them for that. And of course, thank the staff for the amazing end of year celebration. Many people have asked why we don't have the July 4th fireworks anymore. You've got to make choices in life. I think this is a case where the choices were really beneficial to the community. We get a bigger fireworks show at a time where more people are here. So I think it's been a really positive development, and I hope that tradition continues. Glad to hear that over 2,400 people were in that park that Saturday. So thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, just echo Neil's kudos to the boat club. As a member of it, and also someone who was participating in some of the races, they had a fantastic season despite some really bad weather days on Thursday. But they really did a wonderful job with the band, with the entertainment, the communication, with different emails, as well as social media, pictures that were shown with it. They did a fantastic job. I also want to mention something that I see on Facebook with some different farms residents, where many of them have felt that this is a done deal for the pickleball courts location. And it's not. The foundation will be having a wonderful, reception as they had last year. And it's a wonderful, wonderful event, and I encourage anyone to try to attend. But I know that they gave a little bit of a rendering as far as what would be the new pickleball courts if they raise enough money. But the location of the pickleball courts and actually the construction of it still has to have a passage of city council. So that has not been done yet. So I just want to echo that there's a process and procedure.
Yes. I'll just think it was a great end to a great summer. The park was just, the whole summer was just, every event, the park looked great. The new proprietor at the food was fantastic.
Good job.
The marina looked good, so kudos to everybody. Just a great time. All right, public comment. Just play me direct scissors, somebody want. Or the whole Fisher game. Come on up there. Give us names and addresses.
Major 306 Fisher. I sent a letter to the city council about the concerns they had with flooding events in Fisher. Fortunately, we didn't get flooded, but came very close. And so I kind of detailed my concerns because we know we're going to have this new sewer project. I believe there's a problem on Fisher Road. At rainstorm, the whole sewer is full of water. I can see coming up my drain, so something's wrong with Fisher. It's not draining well, I know that it'll help, but I don't think this project's gonna help us. So I'm really asking the council to go back and talk to HRC, what's going on with Fisher Road? That's sewer line. It seems like there's still an issue. I know some of the other streets have gotten some extra work done. I'd like to have them at least look at Fisher, like what's going on. So that's what my biggest comment tonight. Because I spent a ton of money fixing your house basement up. It's just done. I cannot, another flood will just destroy it. It's physically emotional. So it came real close. I have pumps ready to go, but the neighbors got flooded worse than we did. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Athena Pappas. I live at 314 Fisher Road. I've lived there since 1967. I moved in August of 1967, and in October of 1967, my basement had 2.5 feet of water. Since 1967, I believe I've flooded 16 times. I totally redid my basement twice. I'm 82 years old. I can't afford to do it again. I can't afford to clean it. No one will come in and clean it like I do. And I believe it has to do with the sewers. I cannot sell my house without disclosing, if I am correct, that the basement backs up. Is that true? True. Who would buy my house if I told them they flooded 16 times? In 1970, I can't remember the year right now, but I happened to go down into the basement to do something, and as I started up the basement stairs, there was a gusher coming out of both my sewer drains this high. The water that year proceeded to go over the top of my washing machine. I believe in 221, I had 3.5 feet of black muck. And Tucker has been out, Brenner has been out many, many times. They photographed my sewer lines. I had no trees. My gutters run all at least 12 feet from my house. In my backyard, they run 30 feet into the backyard. If you stand on Fisher Road in our block, Kirchable does this. It valleys right around Gothi in the first 5 houses, which is where we live. And then about 6 houses, Fisher Road starts to go back up. I'm not an engineer, but I think there's a problem with the sewers. And I'm just wondering what the city can do about it.
Hi, Margaret Crandall, 320 Fisher. I've been in my house since 1999, and I'm a 9-time flooder. The big drainage was, I had 3.5 feet, so I waited 1.5 years to even get my stuff, my basement redone. So I just got it done, just got it finished like maybe 3 months ago. And now I just came home, spent my whole birthday swapping mud and soot. I lost everything in my basement, I mean, everything. So now I do not put anything in my basement. I've had Art Tucker's been out there, John from Sewer Solutions been out there. One time, one of the flooding was when they were putting the new water lines in, the city had pinched one of the lines and ran out to my sewer, so that flood. So Tucker and John came out, and I've already been scoped. I've had all kinds of companies come in to not only clean it, but to see if there's a problem with me, and they cannot find anything. But every time it rains, you know, you get this call, did you flood, did you flood? And I'm with her. I mean, I feel bad for her because she's 82 years old. I mean, I'm 68 years old, and that's not how I want to spend my time. And it's just crazy that I've been there. And like I said, yes, if I want to sell my house, I have to disclose that I flood. And I don't know where to go or what more we can do. I know somebody came out and looked at something to your house, correct? Yeah, somebody came out and looked, and he said, yep, I see the valley, I see this, I see your low spots. You know, the question was, well, maybe your basement is lower than everybody else's. Well, what do you do about that? I mean, if my basement is lower. My house was built in 35, so, you know, it's old. I've done 37. But anyways, you can't even have anything nice and it stinks and it's moldy and musty and just tired of it.
Yeah, and I know Marguerite talked to, I think before we
Yes,
left
thank
on
you very
vacation.
much. Thank you very much for
and I-
your time.
And I did
Yes.
follow up, and I think I talked to your brother as well. But, you know, we are looking at, I think your 2 homes, there's actually a 3rd home, that stretch of Fisher that has had an inordinate amount of flooding over the years.
The one next to me is flooded.
Yep.
Every time I flooded the one, she couldn't come in.
Yeah,
She's a new neighbor.
Those 3, so we, you know, there's definitely something more than we're seeing citywide, and, you know, frankly, it was again, another big storm that we had, where we had 2 inches of rainfall and under an hour, so that is a storm is probably more intense than design standards.
How come the other houses don't flood?
There again, there are a lot of issues. We're looking at those issues, and I think we have some ideas, some solutions that may, you know, would be a benefit to you and both of you and your other neighbor. And so we'll be in contact. Again, we've been in contact with our engineer, and we'll be back in touch with you.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Okay, yeah, so let us take a look at it. We understand the whole point. I'm glad Shane got a hold of you guys to look at that, and I know it's incredibly frustrating. But let's see if we can find a resolution with HRC, back to Andy's point, and to yours about the geography and like, and see.
Okay, when do you think we could, you know, I have, all of the newspaper articles to substantiate everything that I put here, you know, and then, you know, they'll say 10-year rating, 20-year rating. Forget all of that stuff. I don't believe in any of that. So I do believe there's a problem in the sewer line itself, and I appreciate, Mr. Mayor, that the city of Cold Spring Farms is going to look into it.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
I want to just add
No problem.
that,
Pardon
you
me?
know, this, I know several members of this council, probably the mayor himself, will ask for updates on this in a timely fashion.
Yes.
I'll make sure we send this back.
Thank you.
Louis, can I make a brief comment? I wanted to, I guess I'll say push back a little bit, Andy, on what you'd said. You'd mentioned specifically in the letter to us and also tonight that this project that we're about to undertake is not going to benefit you folks where you live on Fisher. And I'm going to push back on that. Here's why. And you know this because you've been with us since the very beginning, Andy. You've been one of the best ones, you know, hanging with us for this long time. And you know that this project is intended to take out 33% of the wet weather flow from the entire system, not just to benefit the people in the Bournemouth area and along South Point, right? It's going to take water out of the system so that there will be less water in the system. That means down where you are too, so that the pipes that are static in size won't have to have as much water in them.
5 years from now, I'll be coming back to city council making the same concerns. I think it'll help. There's something wrong with Fisher because the whole system is supercharged.
Andy, that's why we'll take it.
I
This
appreciate
is
it.
I think that these ladies are bringing up maybe a shame, it sounds like it's a different problem. It sounds like there may be a structural problem here, which we're all
I hope so.
looking
I hope we
into.
find something.
But my point
Guys,
is
let's
more
not-
general.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate your comment.
Anybody else call the comment today? Any other issues? Johnson.
Seems like it's just
We already granted it. What do you want?
Thank you for your time. Dan Judson, 336 Kirby Road. The new foundation, the Grosse Pointe Public Safety Foundation, lured me out of retirement back in about early May. They asked me to be their executive director. And after some discussions, I agreed to do it for a bit anyway. It was established around April of 2023. Our mission statement is to enhance the capabilities of the public safety departments of each of the 5 Grosse Pointes and Harbor Woods by ensuring the provision of first-class, cutting-edge law enforcement and security technology, and to provide training on security technology with the goal of providing the highest standard of public safety achievable for the 5 Grosse Pointes and Harbor Woods. The Pointes and Harbor Woods public safety departments need to be highly competitive in recruiting the best candidates. The foundation believes that while salaries and benefits are main attractions that are handled now through contractual obligations, other important considerations are obviously top-notch equipment, training, and positive appreciation from their communities that can be deciding factors in candidates' employment choices. The Foundation looks forward to assisting these departments in enhancing the safety of our communities. Our project was to add 2 repeaters to the Wi-Fi communication system at Grosse Pointe South High School, enabling full service, both cellular and police prep radios. Prior to this, when we would get a run to Grosse Pointe South High School, whether it was training, fire inspections, any kind of instance at all, there was no communications in the building. The Wi-Fi was terrible. There was nothing. We had our own fire inspectors in there. They couldn't communicate back to the station. Cell phones didn't work. That's why you saw half the kids leaning out windows and standing in the corners. So John was instrumental in the first program, so just before they hired me. They went in, they got some electricians to go in and check it out, and the anticipation was $50,000 for a repeater that would enhance those communication capabilities. After 4 to 5 hours, they came out with a smile on their face. There's no way. We need 2 and all new wiring. So the message I received from John and the committee that was in place at the time was it was approximately $230,000. So I called my executive director on the board with me there, and I told him it's not going to be $50,000. It's going to be more like $230,000. And his reply was, got it. I said, you got my message or you got the funds? Mm-hmm. He said, no, we have the funds. That program, that replacement was done, finished about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And now this is totally up and running, the communication is there. That was one of the top items on the wish list. My responsibilities are I get needs list, wish list, needs list from the 5 chiefs of Harper Woods and 5 chiefs of Grosse Pointe and from Harper Woods. They give me their lists of what they think they need and what they need, but they don't think they're going to get funding from their city councils or approvals on it. I take those lists, I analyze them, I look at what should be, what I feel through my training in the department here and all my years of budgeting here, what I believe should be coming out of their budgets and not out of the foundation. And then I look at what project would benefit the most officers, both police and fire, in all the departments at the most time. What would be the best one? So the repeater came up because, as you know, if there's an active shooter situation, a threat of an active shooter situation, any kind of instance at the South High School, unlike North High School, they still have better communications all day. There's weaknesses there too, we're looking into. They had nothing, and it would have been totally embarrassing and dangerous. Mm-hmm. So I was grateful the foundation could do that, and we're looking at some other opportunities ahead with a major fundraiser scheduled in early October, and there'll be more to follow on that. So we're happy that we're a 501c3, and we'll be moving forward at this point. And I thank you for your time. If there's any questions on the foundation.
No questions? Nope. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Anybody else to follow? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed, and this meeting is adjourned. We will be going to a short closed session. No, not today. All right, meeting adjourned.